The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Simple on the surface. That's what Snetterton's 200 layout looks like as you glance at the track map. Once you get into the cockpit of the car, though, it becomes clear that this is no simple task at all. Difficult areas for both braking and acceleration abound, and is sure to make a few competitors look like a simple Simon instead. Who can master the newest track on iRacing? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 3 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, Snetterton has 3 layouts you can run, and I guess you could say this one is the middle child.
Good day, Joe. Right here in the United Kingdom, Norfolk, to be exact. Snetterton Circuit was first opened in 1951. They built it on an airbase that was used by the Royal Air Force initially. It was built for them, and then the United States Air Force moved in right up until about 1948. Now, the original circuit was constructed on the old runways and taxiways left there, but the track has undergone a lot of changes since then and upgraded, with the most significant changes being completed back in 2011. Now, there are 3 configurations of the Snetterton circuit available in iRacing: the 300, the 200, and the 100. But the 200 is the one we're focused on today. 2 miles in length. It features 8 corners, while the turns here, named after several famous drivers, pay homage to Hamilton, Brundle. Most recently, the Montreal hairpin was renamed after Justin Wilson. Well, anyway, the best way to get a feel for this track, a very short track, is to hop on board the GSRC Lotus 49 for a trip around Snetterton.
All right, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Snetterton. The long braking distances of this car means you're hitting the binders surprisingly early. The double apex of ridges will be tricky, and you really don't want to drift out too far mid-corner. Finding traction on the power coming off is especially precarious. Then there's not much time before you're slowing up for Wilson. This corner is a bit like a reverse of Montreal's first 2 turns. The best way to find time here is to give yourself a nice straight shot through the chicane section. Once again, grip is at a premium, and the fastest drivers will be on the bleeding edge of the tires. The backstretch will tempt a lot of people into a pass because it's so fast, but Brundle is incredibly difficult for 2 cars to go through side by side. That's because it blends into the braking for Nelson. I have no doubt a few folks will pirouette into the grass in this corner combo today. Then comes the bomb hole. The turn-in is tough to get right, and then the car is going to get light with the crest off the corner. That leads right into Coram, which is all about balancing your speed and your line. You want to make it so you can hug the car all the way to the right at the end of it and give yourself the widest line possible into Murray's. Try to get to the power as soon as you can, because now you're back onto the pit straight, where top end will have a big effect on this lap and the next one. But if you kept it together, you've now finished a lap around Snetterton. So not a very long lap around here, as well as it's a pretty rapid race course with some long straights. Now, let's go over the championship points as qualifying continues now that we've got 2 rounds in. Up at the top is Ove Trangarade. His win last week certainly helped him out. Now, Michel Dudagnon moves down to second without him showing up. Same thing with Mick Claridge. But Bruce Nelson and Brett Rial get themselves onto it. So it's a little bit mixed up here early in the season with some no-shows and some unusual winners so far. Certainly will be fascinated to see how the championship plays out on the driver's side. Now, Sean, let's go over the Constructors' Championship, which works a little bit different from how the modern one does.
Well, there it is, the Constructors' Championship there for you, Joe. They're in first, Norway, currently on top. Now, they came up 3 spots to do that. France sliding back to second, just 3 points back. The United States up 3, find themselves now in third. UK slipping down 2 spots to 4th, and Australia a couple spots for them back to 5th. A little bit of work to do there, but Joe, it's still early, and that fight still very, very close amongst the top 5.
Speaking of a close fight, with the lap not having a lot of length, I expect that lap times will be close. That's not the case right now. And it changes just as I say that. Ove Trangarade pops one onto the board, less than a 10th away from Mick Claridge.
Yeah, Ove finding a little speed here early, Joe. Again, you know, a lot of the drivers still figuring this track out. A lot of spots that unfamiliar. We talked about, I know you and I were discussing, and I even talked to Mick Claridge a bit about the braking zones in Brundle and in Murray's, and how everybody's still trying to really kind of figure out what's right there. And even you yourself, I know you had a few moments in the car, said how tricky that was.
Certainly was tough to get this lap guide clean and together as lap times continue to trickle in. And I believe Mick Claridge is just finishing his second one. He's on the pole. Can he improve that 106.3? He crosses the line, and he does. To a 106.2, another 10th faster, just to stretch it farther away from Trangarade, who has completed his 2 laps. In fact, the only driver I'm seeing on track that has not completed his second one is Thomas Jogwick. He's coming around Coram right now into one of those difficult braking zones down into Murray. Curved, hard to hold it off to the right. You could see just how difficult it was for him to keep that car all the way to the edge of the track. Successfully navigated Murray's. Now coming up to the line. Hasn't put a time in yet. And as he crosses, is this one going to count? Looks like it did not. Oof.
You know, another thing that I noticed you have to deal with here, there are some really high curbs in Nelson and in Murray's, and you hit those, they're really going to upset the car. Might even turn you over if you hit it just right, Joe. Those curbs are nasty in both of those turns.
I noticed those as well. They've got a very tall one on the inside of Montreal that isn't as much as a problem as Gary Teal returns once again in that wonderful, what I like to call the Wonder Bread machine out there. Currently, he's qualified in 6th, but he's put both of his laps in. We're waiting for Michael Steiner to complete his laps. He has not set a time yet. Still 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock, so he could still get both laps in with as short as they are. They're going to be very tight, though. Oh, and he's not going to get them both in at that rate.
Not quite.
Coming off a final corner. That's got to be frustrating because I don't think that was his warm-up lap. I think that was his first timed one. Of course, naturally that one is not going to count. Everybody else out there on track right now. Oh, and it looks like Steiner is going to call it a day. So he's going to start from the back of the pack. With that, let's go through our grid. Mick Claridge is going to be on the pole. Only 2/10 off. It's Ove Trangrade. Let's see if he can get another win under his belt here today. Brett Rial starts on the inside of row 2 and third with William Wright. A nice qualifying time at a 107.4 for him. He'll be starting in the 4th. Into the inside of row 3, it'll be Michael Langford in 5th. Gary Teal starting in 6th. And then the first half of the field rounds out in 7th with Andrew Ang. Sean?
All right, and we go to 8th. It's going to be Hideki Koivitso. And 9th is going to be Ivan Doijo. 10th going to be Don. Tell me something good. Welcome back, Don. And we'll go back to 11th. It's going to be Laurent Rafago. 12th, Thomas Jogwick. 13th, Michael Steiner. And 14th going to be, Michael Steiner is going to be 13th. Thomas Jogwick is going to be 14th. So there we go, Joe. There's I had Thomas Mensforth. Didn't see he was there in 12th. So I'm sorry I messed the end of that up, buddy.
It's okay. Now, one of the drivers in the chat pointed out something that I haven't thought of. I was doing my practice out in a test session, so I was by myself. Someone in the chat mentioned it's going to be interesting on the first lap into Brundle. You know, I hadn't considered that. A bunch of cars trying to go in there at once.
Yeah, that I did get to practice with a few of the guys, and whereas I didn't go side by side, I was really letting them have it. The potential for disaster is certainly there, and the other potential that's there, what we talked about before we go start lining up here, is the incident cap, Joe. I think there's a real possibility that somebody could exceed that today, and maybe even a couple of DQs. You could pick up 1 a lap, possibly 2 a lap here.
If they don't DQ, we could see a few drivers, of course, damage the car and have to go out. They have no spare cars in this series, of course. And if you damage it, with it being such a short race, your day is pretty much over. All the drivers getting up on the grid. Not too long of a run down to riches. Still quite a bit of braking in this car with it not having much downforce, so could be opportunities to try and get someone into there. As the engines rev and burble there down on the grid. You can see them all coming together. Waiting for those lights to come up. Second place Trangarade finally gets himself out there. Just a few more waiting to show up. Don't expect anybody to really start from the pit lane today. Just waiting on Mensforth now. All right. Lights are up, and we had a jump start from third place. That was Brett Rial. That is going to hurt, and you can see how much off the line that hurt him as well as he slips back, but a fantastic start from Billy Bob Wright, who is not able to do anything on Ove Trangarade. Around the outside, getting himself into 4th, though. Gary Teal with a fantastic run as they work their way up to Wilson.
Thomas Jogwick in the back got off really, really slow, Joe, but everybody else, so far, so good here through Wilson.
Mick Claridge in that Ferrari has not been able to get away from Ove Trangarade, but those two stretching away from Billy Bob Wright as they come down into Brundle for the first time. Let's see how the drivers handle this one. Teal almost gets into the back of Billy Bob Wright, but other than that, it looks like the only problem we had was with Michael Steiner losing it on entry.
Yeah, Steiner's going to get back underway without any damage, Joe.
Let's see if Brett comes into the pit on top of that bad start. He fell down to 6th. And yes, he's going to have to serve that penalty. Oh, that is going to hurt.
Yeah, it is.
All he has behind him is Steiner and Jogwick, and it looks like Mensforth was a did not start. I see him already out. I'm not sure if he had an accident while we weren't looking.
Yeah, he did not start, actually.
Well, that brings us down to 13 then.
Teal was just really pressing there on Billy Bob Wright out of Wilson. Maybe pressing a little bit too much because he loses to him here coming down the Bentley Straight.
Up into Brundle and then slowing it up once more for Nelson. Closes that in. Teal looks very strong here. His race pace must be better than his qualifying as he is hounding Billy Bob Wright at every inch of this track now, coming through Quorum, holding on close to that gearbox.
Yeah, the Virginian here looks really good here at Snetterton. Might know a little bit something about this track.
Indeed, there were a lot of drivers glad to see Gary back, who was very much a regular, and then he disappeared for a while before we started broadcasting. Now with his return, he looks like he's a major player up at the front of the field. There's also a close battle between...
Joe, we got a spinner. Andrew Ing.
Oh.
Ing had gotten a run at Ivan Dojo. Had to back out of it. Into Riches.
That is not the place you really want to lose control of the car. Typically in that corner, I don't know about you, Sean, but I found myself struggling to get the power down smoothly and find traction out of there. We're going to watch it one more time.
Yeah, it's really tough to keep it down there, and he got a run, like I said, at Dojo just right up in front of him. What a great job by Ruffago there. He almost collected that.
Yeah, good aversion skills. Meanwhile, Billy Bob Wright has lost 2 positions. Teal and Langford have gotten past him. Let me see if I can find out when that went down. Oh, it looks like he lost traction out of Wilson. And then in a separate incident, he almost lost the car heading into Brundle. So the first one gave it up to Gary Teal. The second one gave it up to Langford. Only 4 laps into this race, and things have been shuffling around quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot of positions have changed hand, but it is Gary Teal right now that's made a really strong charge here, picking up 3 spots early. Still got a ways to go to catch Trengrade. He's about 4.5 seconds in front of him.
In fact, Trengrade, who was within half a second of Claridge, is falling off of the Brit. I'm sure this will be very much happy to be had by Claridge if he could take the win, being a home track of sorts.
Mick had a lot of practice this morning, Joe. I saw him turn in about 45, maybe close to 50 laps.
Oh, and Steiner with another problem. Once again, it's into Nelson.
Yeah, he just gets it off in the grass. Misses his entry here, Joe. You're going to see it on screen.
Interestingly, it looks like just a little too wide, and he got those wheels, those right wheels off in the dirt. And we're having some trouble with Mick Claridge. He's towed in.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my goodness. Lap traffic.
He had an incident. Yep.
Thomas Jogwick out of turn 1. Tried to move over at the last second, and Claridge spun across the front of Trengrade into the weeds.
Wow. Well, he's not the leader anymore. Give it to Ove Trengrade now. Trengrade really lucky to get away from that. Oh, man.
Wow. Let's watch on board Ove. And that is one of those interesting features about this track here, Sean, is that they have that tall grass out there. There's no barrier.
Man, he just misses that, Joe. Wow. That could have been an ender for both of them.
Well, this is the second time in a row that Trengrade has taken advantage of a little luck. He's got a lot of racing yet to go, but he's got a 4.5 second lead, almost 5 second lead over Gary Teal.
Boy, and Jogwick right now, just and a spinner. And Don Good in trouble.
Yogwick narrowly avoids him.
Yeah, Don had trouble getting out of Rich's, getting the power down like we talked about, Joe.
Let's watch on the replay. Oh, it looks like he was actually upset by a few cars having to take evasive action into there. I'm trying to figure out who those are.
Well, that was Jogwick and Ruffago, and he had to change his line, and when he did that, obviously, it wreaked havoc on him.
And Jojo as well. That's the second time we've seen Jogwick cause a few problems for drivers. And it looks to be a similar incident. He was in the middle of the track, and then he moved over very slowly in the braking zone once again. I have a feeling there's going to be a few coaching sessions after this race.
Well, everybody needs to pay attention at this point. It's going to make getting to the finish here a premium. You're having to work through this traffic. You're going to see him again. Trend grade now almost 5 seconds.
He is stretching that lead out. Gary Teal doesn't seem to be gaining ground. In fact, go ahead.
I was going to say, actually, Teal got to worry about Michael Langford, who's starting to turn in some really, really close laps here.
So while the Ferrari of Claridge is out, Langford trying to carry that banner, and Langford with a big slide through Murray's, and now he's not the hunter, he is the hunted. Here comes the car of Billy Bob Wright. Says, thank you, I'll take that spot back.
Yeah, Joe, I'm going to just shut up now.
It's okay. I don't think commentators curse so much as just a difficult track is what's flummoxing these drivers today. Billy Bob Wright, though, is not able to get away from Langford, just gets by him on the front stretch, and now Michael Langford, the Kiwi, is trying to get him back.
Yeah, Langford got to get back to work here, Joe. Billy Bob obviously took advantage of that. Now has himself a podium position. He's got to hang on to it here. Still got a ways to go.
Before that, there was nobody closer than a second to each other. Everyone had stretched apart, but this has given us a nice little battle. It seems like today consistency is going to be key.
Billy Bob getting those wheels right off there in the grass just a little bit. Just tempting fate.
It's interesting, the variety of lines that drivers are taking through Coram. I know I was kind of trying to double apex that one. But like you said, Billy Bob Wright really hugging the inside the whole way down. And we've got Mick Claridge back on track now. It's 2 laps down. However, he's 3 laps down, I should say. He's 1 lap down from Thomas Jogwick. I think he might be able to gain that position before all is said and done. Jogwick just does not have pace. He is going incredibly slow. Oh, as he almost causes a problem once again for Claridge coming in.
Yeah. Wow. Now, Mick, geez, this is tough, Joe, when you have to get around that, and Mick finally clears it back underway here. He's got a battle up in front of him between Langford and Billy Bob Wright, though. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with that, if he can get to him.
Racing has a staunch belief in all drivers are allowed to be on track no matter their pace, but there's also a point where someone can become a danger to other drivers, and I'm kind of worried that that's the case for Jogwick here. He's even slow on the straights here. In the meantime, the battle for third is not abated. Langford still within half a second of Wright. That is our closest fight. Teal continues to lose ground on Trangrade up in the fight for first. It's now 7.5 seconds.
Yeah, Ove is feeling it today, baby. The Scandinavian has got a good run going here. About to hit the halfway mark, and yeah, that's a pretty comfortable lead right now for him. He's just got to stay focused. Hard to keep this car on track here at Snetterton. And the conditions here much different than they were in practice leading up to this. It's 100 degrees on track, Joe. So it's pretty slick out there today.
Not what you want, especially in some of these tough braking zones out there. Langford starting to slip away from rights in certain points. Oh, but he gains a ton of ground heading into the first corner, overshoots it a little bit and loses it all once again. Sliding his way through Wilson, really pushing that car. His fellow Ferrari of McClarich closing on the back of them.
Boy, Langford really using it up. He's still got half of this race to go. Got to be careful. You really don't want to make these tires angry.
As Langford falls off, Don Good closes in on Brett Rial. Or actually, I take that back. Did Rial make the pass on Good?
Actually, yeah, you're right, Joe. Rial did get by Don Good.
That was through the bomb hole. Not a typical passing place, but Good was just way wide into there. We'll see if we can find it. It was maybe about 50 seconds ago. Here we see it. That red car ahead, you can see just way off the racing line.
Yeah.
And after one invitation, Rial sneaks on through before they hit Coram.
Yeah, Don had a very close moment there and had to get out of the throttle.
Rial's not done either. Remember, he had that black flag at the start of the race, so he's trying to climb through the field. He's caught Rafago. See if he can set something up.
Ooh,
oh,
watch
a big
out,
mistake by Rafago coming out of Murray's. And a good heads up from the Pennsylvania driver. He still manages to get a run, looks to the inside, and I think Laurent has maybe lifted a little bit here. Fights back somewhat, but lets him through. Now Laurent has to worry about Don Good, who's caught up to the back of him. That was for 7th place from Brett Rial.
Yeah, great job by Rial to compose himself after jumping the start there and getting back with it. Now really on the move. Here comes Don Good working on this position here from Rafago.
Oh, he's not brave enough to try and slide it through into Brundle, though. I didn't think so. He was taking a look to the inside all the way down the Bentley. Straight a big slide through Nelson from Rafago. Sets him up. Is he going to let him have the apex? Just a little bit of room there. But Rafago holds off Good. And there, once again, you can see the differences in lines between drivers through Coram. A big wide entry by Laurent. And they stay just about as they were. Don Good holding it about 3/10 back.
Good breaking a little bit later there.
He is eager. Once again off the apex for Laurent. Now they come up to Wilson. Laurent looking stronger on the brakes, pulls away a little bit. This is where it really matters, though, finding the traction out of the corner. And both of them are about even. We can stay on this, but a heads up on the fight up at the front. Gary Teal continues to fall off. He's now 11.5 seconds back, and Langford is 2 seconds behind Billy Bob Wright. This fight on screen gets ever closer, though.
Yeah, I think Rafago's starting to feel a little bit of pressure here from Don Good. See little mistakes here.
Ooh, Rafago way off the apex. But Good was slow through the final corner of Murray's, and that denies him an opportunity.
I don't think Good had much choice there. I think he wanted to make sure that Laurent was not coming back across the track. That could have been disaster for both, but a great job by both. It winds up being Rafago hangs on to it, and Don Good lives to fight another day here.
Mick Claridge has overtaken Thomas Jogwick, who has actually spun through Brundle. And did he hit the wall? Yeah, he had a little bit of a tap into there as he gets going once again. Meanwhile, the battle for 6 closing in. Rial and Jojo. Ooh, Ooh, what a slide by Ivan. Coming through the bomb hole, he collects it back together. Rial just holding on to that gearbox. The long right-hander of Corum tries to set himself up, tuck it in nice and tidy. Oh, but he smokes him up, coming a little bit too hot into Murray's, and that is exactly when he does not want that to happen. That car to the inside that we caught a glance of was Yogwick coming into the pits.
Joe, I know we've only got 10 laps left, but I'm already willing to give the drive of the race to Brett Rial, to be honest with you.
A fantastic recovery. I don't think he's going to be able to get a top 5, but possibly a single point if he could overtake Jojo here.
Yeah, gonna be hard to mount a charge to Hideki Koivitso right now. Holds on to 5th. That's almost 25 seconds there to him.
Just like in 1967, since this is the 50th anniversary of this car, they award 9 points to a win. Oh, and it looks like Jojo has trouble through the bomb hole once again. This time he doesn't hold on to the spot, and Rial slides through. And Michael Steiner has had a problem and towed, so does that give one more position? Yes, it... Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry, that was our timing and scoring that screwed up.
Yeah, it was cycling through there. He disconnected, Joe. Not sure exactly what happened. I missed it.
He just came to a halt on the front stretch and disconnected, so maybe some real-life issues got into the way. Now, Gary Teal must have had a problem. Oh, and Laurent Raffago has a problem, as so does Don Good out of the first corner. This starts with Laurent coming into riches. That double apex are just troubling so many drivers. Too hot through there, slides into the grass, comes across the track, clips Don Good. Oh.
Yeah, Don not able to get away from it that time, Joe. It looked like Don started to make an evasive move, and then it all went wrong. Just in the wrong place at the wrong time there.
And what's even more disappointing is Good's car was so damaged by that clip that he had to take a tow. Laurent is able to continue. Guessing that was suspension driver for the Club West driver. Once again, late race incident switching things up. This is going to bump up, most likely, Mick Claridge and Andrew Ang, who are trying to come back after getting their own damage repaired.
I'll tell you what, man. Billy Bob making a run here at Gary Teal. Gary got to stay on top of the wheel here.
Yeah, just before we went to that last incident, I thought that maybe something had happened to Gary, because what was 2 seconds has closed down to under a second here. As I said in the intro, it looks like a simple track, but it is anything but. As Thomas Yogwick, they just went by, who's come back onto the track. He's continuing on in 13th.
Oh!
Wow, yeah.
Careful there.
I think Teal had it under control, just he was on the bleeding edge. Did cost him a little bit of time. Billy Bob Wright closes it in down to 3/10. Now they come through Coram, up to Murray's.
I'll tell you what, Teal, those tires are a little mad at him right now, Joe. I can see it. Just a little bit at a time here. He slides a little bit more.
Cars are just oozing across the track with these high temperatures, and I think it is starting to hurt the tires, as you mentioned. Billy Bob Wright looking to the inside a little bit, down into Wilson. Not a serious attempt.
And although it's not for position, Mick Claridge and his teammate having a little bit of fun back here. Langford's still in front of him, but they're working together, learning a little bit about this track.
This fight we're watching as Billy Bob Wright closes in once again. is for second place. These are the final 2 spots on the podium up for grabs. See if they have different lines through here. Looks like both of them hugging the inside, a little bit more to the inside by Billy Bob Wright through Corum. Oh, he is right on top of him now. He's within the slipstream. This could be his best opportunity. The Floridian looking to see if he could do something. He's not brave enough as they break down into Riches.
No, but I think he's patient enough, Joe. I think he's really setting him up here for a last lap, maybe second to last lap move. I don't think Billy Bob wants to make it too early here. More traffic to deal with just in front of him here as they come up on Refago.
And he pulls off to the side. He's not fighting with anyone. Look at that great move by Laurent to let these guys continue with their battle now as they come up to Brundle. I would expect maybe just a little bit of difference between cars through some of these trickier corners, but they are dead even, it seems. A little bit braver on the brakes into Corum for Billy Bob Wright as he gained a little bit of ground on entry. This time, better traction goes to Gary Teal, who gets himself away slightly.
Billy Bob still keeps getting a couple of tires out there on the grass every now and then. Thinking maybe he wishes he has had the Mickey Thompson mud tires on right about now, but but it keeps costing him, Joe, from really just being able to make a move. But again, maybe he's just being patient here. Just under 5 laps to go now.
And the other thing too is, man, Gary Teal's Wonder Bread machine is rising to the occasion. I have not seen hardly any mistakes from that polka dot machine.
Yeah, Billy Bob just waiting to slice him up, though, Joe.
5 laps to go. We'll see if our audience will stick around through this. They got some more lap traffic up ahead of them. Just gets out of the way in time as both of them go off to the left. Billy Bob Wright getting on the radio commenting that that was a bit of a fun situation.
And not a good spot you want to catch anybody, for that matter.
Absolutely. This is the closest fight on track. Nobody is within 5 seconds or more. They're 16 seconds behind Ove Trangere. Unless a mistake happens by our leader, it looks like this one is going to go to the Norwegian. Through Brundle once again, into Nelson. Within a car length at times, Billy Bob Wright is on top of him. Oh, he looks to the inside. Oh, that would be a clever move, trying to send it up the inside into Corum. I don't think I've ever seen someone make a pass into there.
And Joe, this is not Billy Bob's first rodeo. We all know that. But it is for everybody as far as this track goes. I mean, still trying to figure out, the great spots to get around, make a move, take advantage of somebody. Billy Bob still seems to be trying to figure that out here on Teal with now only 3 laps to go.
And with Wright trying to make moves into places like Corum, and as you said, this being a bit of an unknown for drivers, a quote comes to mind. It's amazing what one can do when one doesn't know what one can't do.
Good point. Who said that, Joe? I don't remember that.
People are going to laugh. I saw it on a Garfield poster. Interesting point from our director. Billy Bob is pinching a little bit at Riches. I think that's costing him some time. Oh, a bad exit coming out of the bomb hole from Gary Teal. Another peek into Corum from Billy Bob Wright. He's getting desperate. He's trying unusual places now. Let's watch him through Riches here. I don't know what you found, Sean, but I have to double apex this thing to try and, a little bit farther away. But he goes a little wide on the exit, and that one costs some time now. He cannot find that middle ground. We're down to 2 laps to go. White flag will be out very soon for Ove Trangarade.
Boy, and Teal got a great run out of Wilson that time, Joe. I mean, you talk about white flags. I think Billy Bob might have thrown it up himself here. He gave it all he had, but just might have used up a little bit too much of his Lotus 49. Teal really seems to have it now.
As we switch over to the Honda of Ove Trangarade, can he get 2 in a row? Before, it's like he could not find them no matter what he did, and now they might be falling from the sky. Nice and cleanly through Riches, up to Wilson. Just a little bit off the apex. He can use up pretty much as much track as he wants at this point. A 19-second lead. Down the Bentley straight up to Brundle. One of the most difficult braking zones here on this track. Nice and cleanly through Nelson. Meanwhile, Teal and Wright still holding it about a second apart. We'll go back to them. Oh, it says big slide, and I think that's intentional. As Ove Trangarade shows off a bit here around Coram. Drifts it through the final corners. And the Norwegian is going to take 2 out of 3 this season as he gets the win here at Snetterton.
Okay, Teal and Wright still fighting here.
Well, they got
Coming
traffic.
into Murray.
That's Ivan Dojo ahead of them, but I don't think he's going to get in the way. Too little, too late for Billy Bob Wright, as a good exit out of the Murrays gives Gary Teal second. Billy Bob Wright going to be third.
That was close. That was a good fight right to the end.
Langford brings home fourth. Fifth goes to Hideki Koivisto, who once again, a point every round. I would not have expected this from the Finn. This has been a fantastic season of him picking up the pieces while everybody around him flails and makes mistakes. And then Brett Rial with the recovery drive, Sean, gets himself a single point.
Yeah, that's what he was able to pull out of it. And you know what? Hats off to the guy. That was tough work. It was a little tougher, I think, than most of us expected out here today.
That's going to wrap it up. Last car in the lead lap for Rial. We're going to be back after a short break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. On the screen, we'll have all the upcoming races. And then after that, we'll have the official results as well as driver interviews. Don't go away. Welcome back to Snetterton, where we just watched the first ever Lotus 49 race here, at least on GSRC. I'm sure they've had a few races throughout the week. But up at the top, taking advantage of Mick Claridge problems, Ove Trangaré takes his second win in a row, 2 out of 3 so far this season in the championship for the Norwegian. And Gary Thiel managed to hold off Billy Bob Wright to take that second place, less than a tenth between them at the line. Billy Bob, of course, the final podium position. Michael Langford comes home in fourth behind them, then Hideki Koivisto with another 2 points on the plate, taking fifth. The final one goes to Brett Rial. He jumped the start, had to serve a black flag, and then what could have been a podium turned into a single point today. Ivan Jojo, the first one a lap down, comes home in seventh. Sean?
All right, and it's going to be Laurent Bafago will finish 8th. Mick Claridge, tough go for him, will finish 9th in this one. Andrew Eng going to round out the top 10. Thomas Jogwick will finish 11th. Don, tell me something good today, was 12th. Michael Steiner, 13th. And Tom Mensford did not start this race. Joe, Billy Bob got to be pretty happy about his performance today. You've caught up with him.
Indeed, the final spot on the podium, but I'm sure he would have liked second place. Billy Bob, it looked like you and Gary had just a hell of a fight all race long.
Yeah, first off, I want to thank Mick Claridge for sharing a set. I haven't had a chance to practice here at all until right before the race, and I went and begged Mick for a set. He was kind enough to share one, so that got me in the hunt, and I was really surprised. I don't know if it's that guys just weren't practicing this week much or what, because I was shocked to see how quick I was. But yeah, the fight with Gary was fantastic, and I have to give him credit. He employed some of the tactics I used to make myself difficult to pass, and it worked perfectly. I just couldn't get by the guy.
Now, with that set, do you feel like it made it easier to drive around this track? One thing we kept talking about during the broadcast is that the simple layout really defies itself, because it seemed like a lot of drivers struggled with difficult braking and acceleration zones.
Yeah, well, again, I got to thank Mick, because he taught me something last season about what to do with certain parts of the setup to make this kind of track much easier to drive. So hats off to him for making me probably really good in certain areas. And but the track is deceptively difficult. I mean, it looks so simple, but I was fortunate enough to commentate a round of the FIA European Superkart Championships here a few years ago. And in talking to the drivers there, I honestly picked a lot of stuff up from those conversations about how to be quick through certain sections, and that paid off for sure today.
It looked like it. You were on a charge for sure. Now, next round, we're going to another very difficult and punishing track with Brands Hatch. Do you think you can keep this momentum up and get another podium next week?
Well, Brands has been good to me over the seasons, not just in this car, but in GT3 and in the Mazda as well. And if I remember right, I think I won this race the last time we were at Brands. So that being said, I'm looking forward to a good result. But hey, the gods are fickle, and we'll see how it all turns out.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on a third, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, guys. As always, thanks for a great broadcast. Looking forward to watching it. And Gary, good run, buddy. We'll see you guys all next week.
All right, that was Billy Bob Wright, third place finisher here today. Farther down, just getting a single point, was Brett Rial, and Sean has caught up with him.
Brett, I'm going to say congratulations, because that was a heck of a drive, buddy, to recover and get that point. Very, very important. What happened there on the start? We'll head it off with that.
Well, I'm a button clutcher guy, and I had my finger on the button, and then for some reason, I pushed the button off somehow, and I just moved forward. I was like, "What the hell did I do?" And then it's just funny. I don't know if you guys have ever done jump starts before like that, but man, once you do that, your brain, at least my brain, just went derp.
Yeah.
And I had a really hard time getting my head back together, because I forgot to turn off tires and the fuel, so I'm going around the lap trying to make sure that gets all done before I go into the pit, so I don't have to fill up to 20 billion gallons. So I thought it was damn hilarious, but it could have been a really fun race with Billy Bob, me, Michael, and Gary, because we were all kind of right in that same area, and I just feel kind of bummed that brain farts get you once again.
Well, I mean, you really had to earn that, buddy, to get sixth place from where you had to come from. Let's face it, the traffic wasn't really kind at all times today.
No, and that's fine. I have no problem with people that want to try and hold their line and keep it and make you work for it because, I need the practice more than I think anybody on the planet in terms of how to get around people on tracks and not always take the optimal line. So I kind of appreciate the people that make it hard on you to, they've got their position and, I've got to earn it. So I actually do appreciate people that make me work for it.
Well, Brett, listen, it was our first time here at Snetterton. What have you learned and what are your impressions about this track?
It's actually really fun. It's just, I think the hardest corner is that silly 180-degree chicane. I can't remember what it's called because you know me by now that I'm stupid with names. But getting traction off of that onto that back straight, that's just so important. And if you just can't get the power down to power through that chicane, you're just toast.
Yeah, Wilson seemed to be a problem for everybody today, getting the power down there. Brett, it was a lot of fun watching you charge up through the field. I think I said about halfway through the race you already deserved the drive of the race, and I'm going to stick with that. I think you had the drive of this race, the way you recovered and kept your composure. I know it was crazy moments there, but overall, you did a great job, man. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. It's always fun to race and always good to talk to you guys. Won't see. Wish me luck in Vegas next weekend, though. That's where I'm going to be.
Okay. So we won't see you on track. You'll be in Vegas. What's the hot bet going in?
I'm going to enter a couple of poker tournaments and see how I do this year. Last year not so good. Year before okay, but this year I'm going to go for it.
You trying to go get a bracelet, sir?
No, nothing that big, but a little bit more high money tournaments this year. So I'm really gonna push my luck, so to speak.
All right, Brett, we'll go get him, buddy. We'll see you in a couple weeks then.
All right, see you guys.
All right, Joe, that was Brett Reale, and I know we've caught up now with Mick Claridge, and you've got him.
Indeed. Unfortunately, only a ninth place finish from Mick as he had to spend a lot of time getting repairs today. Mick, this has proven a difficult track, and I guess for you it was not in the way you probably expected.
Hi, Joe. Yeah, I was just unlucky there with Thomas. Yeah, just a bit of a crosswire situation, I think.
Now, we talked a lot to Billy Bob Wright about the set that you gave him. What kind of things have you found that have helped with tracks like this to set up the car? What kind of modifications have you done?
This week I've done a lot with the shocks. So I've got higher rebounds on the front right and on the rear right, just to get me through that Brundle corner, just to make it nice and easy through there, which seemed to work. And then on the left hand side, I've tried to loosen it up with the shocks as much as I could. So yeah, the cambers are odd here as well for me, and not by much, but a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of little things I've done,
We missed you last week. I'm sure Ove Trangarade didn't. What kept you away from Donington?
Oh, what did keep me away from Donington? I can't remember. I can't remember. I think I was out on a bike ride. I can't remember now.
Well, it certainly has shuffled things up in the championship yet again, and I assume you'll be back for Brands Hatch next week?
Yeah, I'm definitely back next week and for the rest of the season. I knew Michelle would be away today, so I was saying to Uber at the end of the race just now, I was saying, God, I really need that win, and he was saying, yeah, you got to sort of get them while Michelle was away. But no, it keeps everything fair and square with whatever battle me and Michelle are going to have this season, I suppose. So no, yeah, he says he's going to be back for the rest of the season as well now. He's having a barbecue this weekend somewhere in France. So yeah, all back to normal next week for the rest of the season.
Well, it kept things close between you two. Commiserations, and we look forward to seeing you at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
As Mick Claridge finished in ninth place today after starting it on the pole. With that, We're going to close up today. Of course, we want to thank Jack Woolstead and Benjamin Zoko for helping bring this broadcast to air. And of course, also thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, or we're on Facebook at just Global Sim Racing Channel, one word. Our next race, as we mentioned, we're still here. Boy, it is very British-centric this season. We're at Brands Hatch. That'll be Saturday, October 7th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, just like it was today, just a week from now. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.